So what if the next massive economic boom isn't sparked by some new app or technology, but by a whole new kind of worker? We're going to dive into a pretty fascinating paper that argues humanoid robots won't just tweak a few jobs here and there. No, they could completely rewrite the rules of our entire economy.
This feels like a question straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But it's quickly becoming one of the most important economic questions of our lifetime. And the answer, well, it's not simple. It's this complicated mix of amazing opportunity and serious disruption, and has huge implications for every single one of us.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the potential impact, we've got to realize that these humanoid robots aren't just showing up out of the blue. They're actually the final stage of a really, really long journey of automation that began like thousands of years ago.
At its core, the goal of automation has pretty much always been the same. It's always been about one thing: finding clever ways to reduce human effort so we can make things faster, more efficiently, and, let's be honest, cheaper.
This slide lays out the whole journey perfectly. We started with simple tools that just made us stronger. Then we got mechanical machines that did the work of many people. After that, computers took over, leading to the precise, specialized robots you see on assembly lines today. You see the pattern here, right? With every single step, the need for a human to be directly involved gets smaller and smaller. And that brings us to what could be the final, game-changing stage: AI-driven humanoid robots that could potentially handle entire processes all by themselves.
So that's the big historical picture. But to really grasp the impact, we need to zoom in, way in. So for a minute, let's just forget about the entire global economy and look at this from the point of view of a single business, a single factory.
From a business owner's perspective, the logic here is, well, it's almost a no-brainer. Look at the before picture. A company's biggest expense is often wages, and its growth is limited by how many people it can hire. But in the after scenario, you swap that huge ongoing cost of labor for a fixed, one-time cost of the robot. All of a sudden, your production isn't limited by people anymore. It's only limited by the machine's efficiency, and that can lead to an absolute explosion in your profit margins.
This whole thing really boils down to one of the most fundamental rules in economics. For a business to make money, the revenue you get from selling one more widget has to be greater than the cost of making that one widget. Humanoid robots totally supercharge this formula. They crush the marginal cost, the MC, and by making production cheaper, they can help boost sales, which jacks up your marginal revenue, the MR. For the company's bottom line, it's a total win-win.
Okay, so let's zoom back out now. Because when every company, or even just most companies, start making these kinds of changes, the effects don't just stay inside the factory walls. Nope, it creates these massive ripple effects across the entire economy.
So the first huge effect we would probably see is an explosion in what economists call total factor productivity. I know it's a jargony term, but think of it like this. It's not just about getting more ingredients to bake a cake. It's like inventing a revolutionary new oven that bakes 3 times as many cakes, all of them perfect, in half the time using the exact same amount of flour and sugar. That's the kind of jump in output we're talking about here. It's a game changer.
And hey, what happens when it suddenly becomes dramatically cheaper to make, well, everything? This massive productivity boom could lead to a serious drop in inflation. I mean, if the costs to produce goods and services fall off a cliff, prices for all of us consumers should fall too.
And when you put those two things together, massive productivity gains and lower prices, you basically get the perfect rocket fuel for economic growth. Classic economic models all pretty much show that this kind of huge technological leap is exactly the thing that drives significant, sustained expansion for the whole economy.
But this is where things get tricky. We're at a critical fork in the road, because all this amazing economic change doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It directly hits the human workforce, and it leads to 2 very, very different potential futures for us.
On one hand, you have the massive jobs disruption effect. This is the immediate, painful shock. It's where workers get displaced across tons of industries, creating a very real risk of mass unemployment. But then, on the other hand, there's the faster job relocation and adaptation effect. This is the more hopeful idea that, yeah, old jobs will disappear, but new ones will be created, forcing us workers to adapt and learn entirely new skills. So the huge question is, which future are we headed for? Will this create a world with incredible opportunity or one with widespread hardship? The answer really depends on how we choose to respond.
So, how do we navigate this? Well, the analysis doesn't just point out the problem. It actually proposes a path forward. And it's a path that focuses on the one thing robots can't replicate: what makes us uniquely human.
This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head.
The skills that are going to keep us humans valuable in this new economy aren't the repetitive tasks that can be programmed into a machine. It's our ability to adapt on the fly and to think creatively, to do the things that robots just can't.
The way forward, according to this, requires a complete overhaul. It starts with fostering creativity and human interaction. Then, that has to be baked into a totally reformed education system, from kindergarten all the way through university. This new system has to teach adaptability as a core survival skill. And finally, all of that needs support from new labor market structures that are actually designed for this new reality.
And that really leaves us with one last crucial question to think about. This isn't just some abstract economic theory. It's a practical shift that's going to affect all of us. When you look at the skills most of us have today versus the skills we're going to need tomorrow, the biggest question is no longer if the robots are coming, it's are we ready for them?